Hey, this is Rob Anspach, and welcome back to another edition of E-Heroes for those keeping count. This is episode 389, and we're going to go to the balmy east coast of Pennsylvania, where we just got a bunch of snow. But you wouldn't know it because my next guest is sitting there with his ocean front. No, my next guest I've known for probably what, a decade longer. I think
15
2012 or
years
something.
easy.
Yeah, it's we were both part of a group called the Business Entrepreneurs Network in Philadelphia, and so I want to introduce everyone to Guy Dunn, and we're going to talk about networking. We're going to talk about Trust Looper. We're going to try to talk about a lot of stuff. So I want to welcome you here, and thanks for taking the time to be here.
Hey, Rob, thanks for having me on, man. Always good to reconnect with a old friend and kind of talk about what we love is being in business and doing the hustle.
It is a hustle, and we're both in Pennsylvania. I'm in southern Lancaster County. You're near what, Philadelphia?
Yeah, I'm in Drexel Hill, so right
Yeah.
outside of Philadelphia.
And we just got hit with what's they're calling snowmageddon.
Ungodly amounts of snow, man. I mean, I looked outside my house this morning and it was like a foot plus of snow. So
Yeah,
I
it's
thought we were
crazy.
done.
But we wanted to do this. We wanted to do this podcast a few months ago, and my schedule just got wonky, and things had to change around. But I'm glad we're here doing this and reminiscing about our days at Ben, which was Business Entrepreneurs Network. But you've been doing some fascinating things behind the scenes, really. Redoing your old book that came out years ago called Networking for Business.
Yep.
And what was the premise of redoing it?
Well, I mean, when I wrote my that book, Networking for Business, it was in 2012, and you and I know that networking from 2012 to 2025 is like night and day. We didn't have Zoom meetings, we didn't have AI, we didn't have the pandemic. We were always going out to network events, and people weren't they weren't afraid to go out and meet people. So back then it was totally different. So now that social media is here and all those things, which kind of help but hinder the ability to network, I
Hmm.
figured it was time to rewrite the whole concept of networking and let people really know that although it's different, it's still the same, which is finding people, developing those relationships, and building trust.
Yeah, it's when I go to events now, I hardly even sit in the conference room to listen to the speakers, and I know that may be a disservice to the speakers because they want the audience, but I go out in the hallways and and
Hmm.
and I network with people out there, and then it becomes more of a one-on-one, and we get to learn about each other, and to me, that's the advantage of going to these networks, these conferences, because a lot of times it's the same old. Speakers are up there. I've gone to one, and then 10 years later, go to and it's the same speaker saying the same stuff. And I'm like,
Yep. Yep.
just email it to me next time. But you get out in the hallways, and it's real life conversations of people, and those are the strongest connections I've made.
Oh,
You
for
know,
sure. I agree.
so networking does. When I first joined a networking event, I think this was back in the '90s when I had my cleaning service, and it was fine until it wasn't. Because
Hmm.
they force you to come in with 3 leads for somebody. And I'm like, yeah, but I really don't know who these people are. And yes, I've been coming here every week, but we've never had this conversation outside of this event or this network.
Right.
So, why should I refer them? And so just became uh, a grudge. You're just coming in there and you're like, oh, I have a referral for James and I have a referral. And it's like, and it's not even a hot lead. I'm just mentioning somebody, and then they call and say, "Hey, yeah, Rob, Rob who?" And
Yeah.
it's like, this is not how you network. I mean, it might have been 20, 30 years ago, but today, and I hear the same thing from people. Oh yeah, I joined this network and I'm doing. You're exactly right, Rob. Right, Rob. They're doing the same thing. And it's like, why? You know.
Well, I mean, part of the issue is figuring out how to do it in a way where you're able to build those relationships. Like I was a part of a similar network. Mine was, I mean, you have the BNIs, you have LaTips, you have Professional Referral Exchange. These are all lead. They're all referral networks. But part of that whole situation is to be able to spend the time to develop the relationship and get to know the people so you can refer them, build on a personal relationship that you have to spend the time to get to know them so it
Mhm.
makes more sense for you.
Yeah, and but there's a phrase, and I think you're using it too in your podcast. Is the network or net?
Network to net worth.
Yeah, yeah,
Yep.
and I hear it a lot, and I do believe that if you can develop your network, you're never going to go without money.
Yeah. Yeah. Or opportunities. That's the thing.
Yeah.
I mean, network is opportunity. That's
Mhm.
that's the reality. I try to enhance every relationship I have by seeing what the opportunity is for me to help them, and eventually it's for them to help me. But
Mhm.
what I try to do all the time is figure out how can I help somebody as soon as humanly possible after I met them. So one, I can kick in with the law of reciprocity, meaning that, once I do for them, subconsciously they're going to like, wow, man, guy hooked me up. Let me see, how can I do something for him? So that's
Mhm.
that law of reciprocity, which I believe in very, adamantly. I know that that works, but also if you are a giver, then you're going to you're going to be a getter.
Mhm.
So I try to be a giver as soon as possible in any relationship I am because that's how you build. And even if you don't get anything back, I still did it because that's what I believe in. I believe in helping people, and
Yeah,
it's worked out.
yeah, and years ago, when I started on Spark Media, I was kind of like everyone else, and it took a while, but about a decade ago, I said, you know what, let's let's tell the world that, what our philosophy really is, and it's friends first, clients second, and it means that I'm going to be there whether you're a client or not, as a friend, to help you through situations.
Right.
And people are like, well, Rob, that's kind of dumb. You shouldn't get that close to your clients. You shouldn't you, you know you shouldn't get involved. And I'm like, to me, it's that brotherly love.
Yep.
That sisterly love. You're coming at it, and look, I don't care if there's no money involved. You're my friend. I'm going to help you out. And to me, that always leads to something else. People are like, well, Rob, I don't have business for you, but I know someone that will be a perfect fit.
Right.
Great. You know, and sometimes I don't do it out of reciprocity. I just do it because that's who I am. And I just try to help people. And
Right. No, I agree.
I've gotten more business because of that philosophy than if I ever had a guarantee.
Yeah,
Because people just want trust. They want to feel safe.
that's true.
Yeah. So but we talk about trust a lot, and that is seems to be the newest. I'm not saying it's a sales tool, but I've been when I first started, I said I was the trust authority. You could just trust me.
Hmm.
And I think after COVID, people were like, what is trust really? So, but the thing is now it's starting to slowly come back. It's trickling back. People are understanding the true meaning of it, and there's marketers like us who are ethical, and we want people to understand. Look, you're not going to get burned. We're
Hmm.
gonna do everything in our power to make sure that you're happy with the job that we do for you.
Oh, for sure. I've been
And
living that all the time.
and I kind of leads me to the next point is that you created this software
Right.
called Trust Looper.
Yep.
And so, yeah, tell me about it.
So actually, Trust Looper was a platform I created actually out of the new edition of my networking book, Networking for Business 2025. What in that book, at the end of each chapter, I always have action items for you to do to make networking easier and to make networking more habit forming. So you're doing the things that are necessary to make sure that you're networking as efficiently as possible, and setting up the opportunity to take advantage of every connection that you make. So I literally took those action items and uploaded into a AI software and says, create something for me that will help people do this better.
Hmm.
And that's where Trust Looper was born. And it basically started to put the pieces together, and I talked it through. That's the good thing about AI. You can tell it what you want to do. And I told it I wanted to make sure that follow-up is intuitive. I wanted to make sure that it kept you relevant to your network. I wanted to make sure that you can communicate on a regular basis. I wanted to make sure you can post into social media and LinkedIn. So what it does is, one, it starts with a digital business card, so you have a card.
Hmm.
Okay. And then people scan your card and they send you their information and it goes into your database. So once it's in your database, then the automation kicks in and it starts to communicate with them. Like in the first 24 hours, it sends them out a message and says, hey, you're connected now. Let's talk about, I mean, we connected at XYZ event. I'm glad you're a part of my network. Let's stay connected. So that first 24-hour pitch of, not pitch, but 24-hour communication
Hmm.
basically gets you in the network. And then about a week later, sends out a message. Now that we're connected, let's see if there's opportunity for us to do something together. How about let's get on a Zoom or grab a cup of coffee and see what opportunities exist between us. And then so now it basically gets you in that network and it starts to nurture the relationship. It
Hmm.
also has the ability to create newsletters and create polls and surveys and post on social media and post on LinkedIn. So now you can stay relevant to your network and you can send out like email. It connects to your email, connects to your calendar, connects to your social media. It does all those things so you can, in this platform, keep connected and stay relevant to your network by nurturing those relationships and making sure that they have a time and the time and ability to know, like, and trust you based on the number of touches that you put in front of them. But
Hmm.
also, they get to know you because you're putting out content on a regular basis, and
Right.
now they're seeing you.
Right. And I want to kind of explain to the audience, those that are listening, that you know connections on social media are great. However, they're not curated like what Guy is telling you. You know, when you curate your own network, whether it's from business cards, conversations you've had with people, that's different. That is a better network. You know, say I have 11,000 connections on LinkedIn. Well, that's, people are like, wow, that's great. Probably only about 10% of them are worth, salt at all.
Hmm.
And I'm not saying that none of them are, could be. I mean, potential. That's what we all think when we invite them into our social media, group. But only about 10% of them, if that, are ever going to see the opportunity that you have to refer you to other people.
Right.
So when you have a curated network, ones that you put together through business cards, events, that's going to be stronger than anything that you compile on social media.
For sure.
So it's, but I think that's the problem, that most people have been, not, I can't say deceived, but they've been convinced that social media is the way,
Mm-mm.
and you're supposed to put all your eggs in that social media basket, whether LinkedIn, Facebook, X, or I go on and on and on. But for me, it's like I stay on LinkedIn because that's where I know people that are business owners, that are decision makers, that have money, that they need the services that I offer.
Hmm.
Facebook, it's a lot of friends, um, and I've been getting more and more business from LinkedIn than I have from Facebook.
Right. I
But
agree.
but I do create videos every day, and people say, "Well, Rob, some of those videos you don't talk about business at all." I said, "No, because nobody wants to listen to me talk about business
All
constantly."
the time.
But if I talk about, video games from the '80s, or if I talk about music I love, or refer somebody, talk about, a great service that I encountered, people like that. They feel, hey, this guy's just not talking business all the time, but he's giving us stuff that we can actually engage with, then it works better.
Well, you relate people relate to the real you. They relate to, not just you with the suit on or you in the business, always talking about how you can make money, you can do this, you can do that. It's like we are all people, and people want to relate with people.
Yeah. And sure, I could talk about my books all day long, but after a while, people are like, "Okay, yeah, Rob, whatever. You wrote a lot of books. Give me something else." And so I do. I give them other stuff, and if they want to explore who I am down the road, they're going to go to my website. They're going to go to my Amazon. They're going to go other places to learn about me. And to
Right.
me, that's the best way to network. To I'm not showing off. I'm giving them information constantly. They can make that decision. And if they like what they see, they want more, here I am.
That's it. I
But
agree.
I don't want it to be a 30-day pitch fest because I'm going to snooze them,
Yes. Tell me
So,
about it.
but you got some, you know, uh, like I said at the very beginning, you got some great things on the horizon, and you were telling me about an upcoming TED Talk or
Right, yeah.
TEDx.
Um, I I did that through networking. I went to a networking event, and this was so about a year ago, and it was an event from somebody I know here in Philadelphia. She does events regularly, at least every other month. And at the event was the guy who basically curates the people going to do TED Talks at the their facility or their operation in Wilmington, and he had asked a couple of people in the audience to stand up and talk for a minute or two and just give them an impromptu speech. And you know me, I always jump up. Somebody says jump up, I'm like, all right. So I did the speech. I talked about being an entrepreneur all my life, and the other woman, she talked about her business. And he's like, you guys were great. You know what? I'm going to offer that you guys do a TED talk next year. And so, it's been a year. He kind of, I kind of let it go because I've been working on a bunch of things, creating software. But then I gave him a call back a few weeks ago, and I said, "Listen, is that offer for the TED Talk still up?" He's like, "Guy, what's your talk on?" I said, I told him what it's going to be on, and he was like, "All right, man, let's go ahead and do it. I will give you." He gave me somebody who's going to help me coach me through and go over it with me, but I'm excited, man, to get it and get in front of people because I love to talk, and I think I do have a fairly good message because, like I said, I'm 65. Been an entrepreneur all my life.
No way, you're not 65.
Oh, for sure, man. And I talk to people a lot about, especially entrepreneurs. I talk to them about what that journey looks like and how they have to believe that it's going to happen before it even, before it can be a reality. You have to believe it's a reality. And I
Mhm.
talk to people about, their life and say, your life can be what you want it to be. I've been blessed to be able to live the exact life I wanted to because I wanted to be an entrepreneur when I was 17. I grew up
Mhm.
in a family business. So I said, this is what I'm going to be. And I literally have been an entrepreneur all of my life. I've only worked for people 6 years of my adult life. Okay. Either I've been a principal, a owner, or a management consultant to other people. So I've lived the dream.
Yeah, that's kinda like me. I mean, I started mowing yards at 15, and, then I had to get a real job at 17, working at a grocery store. But, I got married young. We just celebrated 37 years of
Oh,
marriage,
congrats.
and, I started a business in 1989, and that crashed and burned, and I went and worked for others for about 6 years, and then started my cleaning company in '95, and, sold that in 2014, but started Unspark Media in 2001, and that's been going strong ever since, and we just celebrated 25 years, and You know, when you're young, you're cocky. You know
Mm,
everything. But what I didn't know is I didn't know how to effectively market. And that's what took my journey through learning how to market, how to position myself, how to brand. So you learn all those things. I didn't go to school for it, but I went to conferences. I learned from, the people that were before me and wrote great books, and that's what prompted me to write books and educate the next generation. And it's great. But you're also doing, and I want to preface this because, last year I wrote a book about marketing the magic, all about Walt Disney World. And I got the opportunity to take a group of entrepreneurs down to Disney World in January. We had a brilliant time. I showed them all kinds of great stuff. We took them on VIP tours and it gave them a deeper sense of the magic that Disney creates. But you're doing something on a far larger scale. You're
mhm.
taking people to Ghana. You're taking to Africa. I
Yeah,
mean, that is amazing.
yeah. It was. You know what? My wife is a history teacher, and one of the things, a couple of reasons why she wanted to go to Ghana. We went with a friend of mine. Actually, the friend of mine who took me to West Africa 30 years ago was the same one who took me in 2019. Okay, somebody I've known for many years, a great friend of mine, um, and my wife and I went on a with a group, and we went to Morocco, Ghana, Benin, and Togo. Um, and my wife just fell in love with it because she loves culture. She loves to experience a culture. And one of the things about Ghana that is amazing is it was and it was the first colonized country in Africa that gained its independence. And it was only 60 years ago. Okay. So when you look at that, that in itself is amazing. And that's one of the reasons why Ghana is so special to us because of its history, but also the significance of what it means for African American people. Most of the people who are here, who are African American, that were the descendants of former slaves, their families came from West Africa, that area of West Africa where before it was Ghana, before it was Benin, before it was Togo, but it was tribes in that West African region, and that's where they brought us from and brought us here. So that is I tell people all the time that the reason why we go and the reason why we bring people there is to learn about the slave trade from that side of the ocean and the things that they don't tell us here because it's not part of our educational system.
Yeah.
So that's why we do it. And it's amazing. And people love it. They're usually it is a life-changing experience for many people because of what they learn.
Yeah, my wife and I went to Louisiana back in 2019. Yeah, it was 2019. And we they were teaching us when we took a tour. They were teaching us about the slave trade, and Louisiana was one of the biggest traders, and it made my heart sink because here you have a culture. Okay, if you've ever been to Louisiana, they got voodoo, they got trade, they got Catholic nuns, they got hookers, all in the same street. It was a mixing
Mm-hmm.
pot, and it was like, yeah, but you're celebrating some of the wrong things in history to make, you know, and it was just weird,
Yeah,
to
yeah.
me because I have nieces and nephews of all color, um, and so I've always embraced that. We're like the United Nations here, so it's but I've never been that way to people. And I understand that history tells us that yes, it's a lot of hatred, a lot of animosity, and I get the history, but why do people have to be that way?
Yeah, it
I just don't
it
understand.
it's and I don't even want to go into politics, but the intention to try to erase history is horrible
Right.
because history is history.
Yeah.
Um, and I just think that people need to know more about what the world was like and the world is like because we are all products of the history of the world.
Yeah.
Everything has happened, will happen, and will continue to happen at one shape or form because people are always going to be people. There's going to be evil people. There's going to be good people. And the only way we can protect ourselves from evil is making sure we understand what people are capable of.
And we do learn from history, and for those people that want to erase it, what are you going to learn from?
Right.
That you can mistakes happen. We're just going to erase it from history, so nobody in the future knows what happened. Oh, then they're going to make the same mistakes. Let's learn from them.
Exactly. Exactly.
But Ghana, that fascinates me about what you're doing there. And when you go for a week, 2 weeks?
We usually go about 10, between anywhere from 10 to 15 days. This year we have a 12-day trip we're going. Um, yeah, it's amazing. We go to different parts of the country. We go to the slave castles. We go to Accra, which is the capital. We go to the Volta region, where's the river and that whole, and there's different cultures. We also go to one of the villages, and there's usually a naming ceremony for people to go there, and they actually adopt African names from the village. The chief anoints them. All, I mean, it's an experience.
Yeah.
It's definitely an experiential event.
And how do you feel when you're there? I mean, do you get a
Oh my
sense of
gosh! I mean, you know what? My wife says it all the time. She's like, when I go there, I feel like I'm home. The
mm,
people are wonderful. The people embrace you, and you're able to just be be at ease because you feel like you're one of everybody's the same, and we're all there being who we are, and there's nobody judging you. There's no animosity. You're just living, and people, they're happy to see us, and we're happy to see them.
yeah, that sounds amazing. And do you create something out of it? I mean, like for me, taking these people to Disney World, I had them take notes. I had them express their feelings. I had them, write down things so that we could create a new book. And so let's say I went with you guys on this trip, you know,
Hmm.
what are some of the things that I'm going to learn
Well, one of
besides
the things,
besides the slave trade, because I know that happened, but
right?
the deep down rooted feeling that I'm going to get walking away.
I think one of the things that people learn is that you connect with a village and you connect with a family there. So you have a relationship and you can build that relationship to whatever you want. I mean, there are people here who we brought there who donated like um, uh, what did he donate? Books to a school, and we always bring stuff to schools, and we foster relationships with people there. So that's one of the things. You will always have somebody there that you can connect to and be connected to. So you have that relationship, and you can take it wherever you want.
Hmm.
But the other thing is, you can learn the people who go with you become part of your family. We call our group Ghana Bound Today, and we have probably just under 100 people who we brought to Ghana so far in the past 5 years, and they're still communicating all the time. They're sending messages through WhatsApp. And these relationships have been built with people who stay connected, and that's one of the things. But also, we stay connected with our Ghana families. We also are building a community center. We've helped them build a community center. We connect to the schools. We always bring school supplies. One year we brought. My wife actually set up a foundation there, so it's the Judith Dunn Foundation, and we've bought uniforms for the kids in the schools. We've bought soccer balls and things like that. So we are developing a community and relationships that go farther beyond us being there for 10 to 11 days.
So if excuse me, if we're an author and we want to donate books, do we send them to you?
Yeah, yeah, if you want, we are always going back. So yeah,
This is awesome.
and yeah, and it's for the books that we mostly it's for the kids in the schools. So we're talking about middle school age, high school age kids. We're providing them tools. One year, uh, I know that in the near future, one of my goals is to get a bunch of iPads and bring them there so they can have those for the schools as well.
Nice. So, how do people get a hold of you? Where do they go? Where do they find you?
All right, so there's so many ways. Uh, for my Trust Looper platform, they can go to trustlooper.com, and there's a pre-launch. It's not even launched yet, but it's in pre-launch. But trustlooper.com, and they can sign up to be alerted when that's available. If they want to know about Ghana, they can go to Ghana Bound Today on Facebook, Ghana Bound Today, and they have our information. It shows our brochure about our trip. And if they want to reach out to me, they can just reach out to me, Guy at ideaguybrands.com. I am the idea guy. I've always been known as the idea guy. Um, and that's where you can reach me. I even have a roofing software I created called rooftrack360.com because I'm actually a part owner in a roofing company now. I got a guy, helped him with his marketing. He's like, "Can you be a partner with me?" He said, "I'll give you equity in my business." I said, "No problem. I'll be there for you." And now I'm owning a roofing company, and I created software to help him grow his business, which I'm going to sell as a SaaS.
Wow, that's awesome. And truth be told, I had an Amish crew do my roof a couple years ago. Great people. I don't know if they actually use computers. I do
Probably
know
not.
I do know that the owner has that. He doesn't have an iPhone. He has an old flip phone, and they have to charge them in their barns. They can't have them in their main house, which is crazy to me. But they don't have electricity in their main house, so
Wow. Hey,
so
listen.
I don't think they'd have software. But here's the thing: is that you have these great ideas, and I'm sure that at one point you're going to be able to create that roofing platform and create it in a way that the Amish can even use it.
That,
You'll
that
you'll find a way.
that's a challenge. I will have to figure that one out.
I'm sure that they would benefit greatly um, having everything streamlined like that.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I mean, the thing about it is I'm a tech guy. I love technology, so I embrace it. And once I do, I mean, I'll dig in really hard and figure out what needs to be done. So it's just been a blessing. I take no, I humbly accept the blessing that God has given me, being a entrepreneur and a technology guy, and just being me and allowing me to be and do what I've wanted to do all my life.
But being a tech guy, and then you had touched on AI earlier. We're in this thing, this crazy parallel universe sometimes. I think because people are using AI and they're like, "Oh, this is going to save me a lot of money," and then they start using it and they're like, "This is garbage." And I always, for me, it's when you're going to prompt garbage, you're going to get garbage out.
Yep.
You have to be able to use that AI as a tool, just like roofers do, with removing and installing a roof. They got specialized tools. AI is
Right.
that specialized tool. You use it wrong, you're going to have horrible results. But that's everybody's like, oh well, Rob, $20 a month for ChatGPT. You can get it cheaper over here,
Hmm.
and and so they go after the cheapest thing. But I've been using chat for a couple years. It knows me. It knows my personality. It knows, what I'm going to say and my, responses that I would give. And it takes time to train that AI to know who you are, to adapt to you.
Oh, for
If you
sure.
keep jumping from one AI platform to the next, you're never going to give it a chance to know who you are, and so
That's
it's not
true.
going to
I
work right.
agree. I've used it a lot myself, and I know where and when to just how to focus it to make sure it does exactly what I want it to do. And sometimes it really doesn't. But it's the discipline of going back and making sure it's right and making sure it's right and doing it over and over again, so it does learn how you want it to operate and spend the time.
Yeah, and I don't know. Lately, with 5.2 with ChatGPT, it's nothing but arguments lately. It's like, I'm typing something, and it's like, "Okay, Rob, we got to slow you down. This is how," and I'm like, "Did I ask for your opinion?" You
Yeah,
know, and
right.
and then it's like, "Okay, Rob, I won't patronize you. I won't do this," and yet it continues to do it, and I'm like, "What is this? When did the safety protocols get kicked in?" I loved it when it was 4.0, when it was even, a little higher, but 5.2 is just awful. So you gotta take the good with the bad, and
Well,
I
that's
understand.
software. Software always has glitches.
Yeah, and I understand that, um, a lot of these platforms need to put safety features in because there are people that are using it the wrong way. They're
Oh, for
using
sure.
it, and a few people have ended their life because of what these AI platforms have said. I get it. Safety is paramount, but you know, arguing with an AI, it's like I could argue with my kids. I'm paying you, and you're arguing with me.
Yeah, right.
So no, but I don't want to discount it. I do know that AI has its place and will continue to have its place. But
It's not going anywhere, that's for
to
sure.
me, if you're an entrepreneur like Guy and I are, and we have these crazy ideas, AI is this great sounding board that'll tell you, is this viable? If it's so, what's the next steps? What should we do? If it's not viable, it'll tell you why.
Yep.
Yeah, and so for me, it's like this is for what I spend on it, it's the greatest sounding board ever. You know, but again, people are going to use it the way they feel like it, and if you're going to be lazy about it, you're going to get lazy responses.
That's true. Yep.
Mhm. So where do you go from now? Or you got all these great ideas. You're going to be doing a future TED talk. You got all this great stuff. What's next?
Um, my big thing right now is I actually have somebody who's looking at investing in my roofing software. So that's
Nice.
a project that's going to be pretty big because it's a program that it could it I believe it's a business that can be worth over $50 million within the next 5 years. That's how big it is, and the investor sees that as well. And the roofing company that I'm partnering with, they're going to do very well. I've already made some things happen to make that happen. And you know what? The other thing it does, it provides me with opportunities for family members and friends, whether they're going to be partners, whether they're going to, like my son is looking for a job. And I said, listen, I'm going to get you a job in my roofing company. And he's not a roofer, he's an AI guy. But I'm saying, you know what? I want you to start here. That means work hard so we can figure out a way for you to hardly work down the line
Mhm.
because you're smart, you
Well,
know?
and the thing is, I think every person growing up right now, whether in their 20s or 30s, should learn a skill.
Oh,
A
for
hard
sure.
skill, roofing, HVAC, plumbing, electrical, learn those skills because you
Even
need to know
AI.
them. Yeah. And then adapt it to AI because honestly, you'll be unstoppable. You know,
Yep. Yep.
growing up, I learned computers. That's what I knew. I started off with Trash 80s, which was TSR 80s from Radio
Hmm.
Shack, then Atari, then I moved up and
Commodore and all that other stuff.
Commodores so for me, coding was always great. But after a while, it's like I don't want to code websites anymore. I just don't want to do it. I can
Hmm.
tell the AI, this is what I want, this is how I want it, and it spits out the code. And I'm
Yep.
like, oh, that would took 2 minutes. What would have taken me all week? So
If not longer.
yeah, so it's we have to look at the future. Yes, we have these skills. We can always fall back on them. If and when the grid goes down. You know, but it's always good to have a hard skill. It really
Oh,
is.
for sure.
And so this was fun. This was great.
Oh,
We could
Rob, I
probably
had a ball, man.
we could probably talk for hours, but you know, um, I want I want everybody out there listening to go over to trustlooper.com. I want you to find the guy on social. I
Yep,
want you
I'm
to
in
go to his
LinkedIn.
and and explore the Ghana Bound today because if you ever want to go and experience Africa the way it really should be explored. You know, let Guy be your host.
I
And
appreciate that.
go buy his book. It's coming out
Yes.
soon. It's a 2025 version or 2026 version.
Yep. Oh, and
Coming up.
I'd even say, I'm going to say this last little pitch is I'm also writing a book, Networking for Students, because I am going to speak in colleges to teach students how to network, because
Yeah.
that's something I think the next generation needs help on because they don't know the value of the connections of the people that they have
Right.
around them.
Yeah, and I early on in my career, I didn't embrace those connections, because we thought, well, at least I thought, well, they're high school, they're college kids that, yes, they're my friends, but they don't know what I know. They don't know how to market. They don't know how to network. They don't know the people I'm looking for, and yet they do. They
Mm,
honestly do. Kids are smarter today, but they still need to know the power of networking. So, you
yep,
know,
that's
hit
it.
up Guy and have a chat. And here's the thing: if you guys have a podcast, get Guy on it because wealth of information. And so we'll see you guys on the next episode. Adios.
Have a good one.